Today we're going to be talking about solving arguments between siblings. The siblings may be step-siblings, they may be half-siblings, they may be natural siblings, and you, the step-parent, may be step-parent of one or two or all of the children who are fighting. Hi, I post once a week, so subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell and I'll let you know every time I post. Today we're going to be talking about how to stop fighting children, and this can be particularly difficult for step-parents because maybe you are the parent of one but not the other child, or maybe you're the step-parent to both children, and it's difficult to go in to squabbling children and sort it out. Many parents turn a blind eye to fighting children and hope they'll sort themselves out. But I don't recommend this because actually it's jolly difficult as a child to sort yourself out, especially if you're trying to make a stand against injustice and another child. So sometimes you need parental authority to help you. It's also difficult as a step-parent because you may have a view about who's at fault or what a particular child is like, especially in a step-family dynamic. So what I suggest you do is, once the fighting reaches a certain level, you know, where it's not going to stop very easily and it's not just a minor squabble, go in and separate the fight. If they're fighting physically, separate them physically. If they're shouting and screaming or whatever, stop it. Stop the fight then and there. And then ask them what the fight is about. You'll probably get two totally different versions of the events. That's fine. You listen to both. Then help them move on. It might mean getting them to do something different or go to different places or distract themselves in other ways. If that's not possible and you've got to resolve the issue and you really don't know who's right and who's wrong, you need to make an arbitrary decision and then somehow make it fair, like say, well then tomorrow we're going to do it the other way around, or after half an hour swap over and do it the other person's way. But you haven't resolved the underlying issues. And fights have a way of repeating themselves. The subject of the fight might change, but the fighting is likely to repeat itself. So when the situation has calmed down and people have gone their different ways, you'll have a chance to speak to one of the fighters away from the other. And then it doesn't matter which one, you say to them, so what really went on? Who started that argument? What happened? And get them to tell you the story from the beginning. What was the original thing that started the fight? Was it a kick, or somebody poking them, or taking something that was theirs, or was it something else that was annoying? And then get a full story. Say, thank you very much, I'll be looking out for that next time. And when you get the opportunity with the other protagonist of the fight, speak to them alone too and out of hearing of the other person who was fighting, and ask them their version of what happened exactly, when it started, how it started, what was the very first thing that happened that set the fight off. Very often, it's not the thing that they were fighting about at the end. But these initial triggers will give you clues as to how these fights start off in the beginning every time. Then look out for those initial triggers, and quite often they will happen again. And when they do, you say, "Don't kick your brother," or "That's so-and-so's, don't take it." That way you can solve the problems as they begin, as opposed to always having to sort it out when in a way it's too late and the fight is already happening. Sometimes you still haven't got to the original trigger from just asking them once. And you might have to go back in again in subsequent arguments and say, so what, asking them individually after the fight is over and they've separated and you're speaking to one of them alone and the other can't hear. So what happened? And what was the original trigger that time? And you might get to something that's before the kick or the poke or the annoying thing that starts the fight off. There may be something even further back than that. And what you're looking for is the original thing that they do to the other to set it off. And once you get that, you can usually sort the arguments before they begin when they do them in your presence. And then they will get out of the habit of fighting like that. And that way you can solve lots of the arguments that happen between them by catching them early. It's really important you do this for harmony in the home, because if you leave fights to fester, they will grow and the children will dislike each other more and more. It's as important to sort out fights in a family as it is to have fun and days out and good times together. Sort out the negative stuff too. And that will mean going in and doing your best to sort out fights and then work out what the triggers were later on and see if you can't stop them triggering each other into arguments all the time and help them to negotiate how to solve these things without resorting to arguments. I offer workshops, sessions, an email response service, booklets. For links to my website, Instagram, Twitter, etc., look at the description box below.